Johnson served as vice president under John F. Kennedy from 1960 until Kennedy was assassinated on November 22, 1963, the date that he was sworn in as president. Johnson was re-elected in 1964, where he won the election carrying 44 of the 50 states behind him, beating Barry Goldwater. Johnson designed the Great Society in 1964, his basis of his ideology. His goal was to eliminate poverty and racial injustice. His main interest was to better the society for the American people. Johnson declared war on poverty in his 1964 State of the Union address. He believed Johnson's term was the peak of modern liberalization in the United States. On August 7, 1964, Congress passed the authorization for President Johnson to maintain international peace in Southeast Asia with any measure he believed were necessary. This was known as the Gulf of Tonkin Resolution. It allowed the United States to be more involved in Vietnam. Decisions made by Eisenhower, Truman, and Kennedy laid the groundwork into the war in Vietnam. Johnson's domestic plans were overshadowed by the Vietnam War and dominated his foreign policy. Johnson was forced to conform to the Cold War foreign policy already at hand, and the Vietnam War became his war. Johnson escalated the United States' involvement in the Vietnam War. When he first took office in 1963, there were 16,000 troops stationed in Vietnam. In July of 1965, Johnson increased monthly draft calls, and by 1968, there were 500,000 troops in Vietnam. This political cartoon illustrates the U.S. Congress asking if 200,000 troops will be enough. It is a blank check of troops to Vietnam. Johnson was not particularly interested in increasing the American involvement in the war, but he was influenced by his advisors to become more forceful. He felt that there was better things that we could be spending money on at home, like bettering society. Johnson viewed the war as an annoyance. This political cartoon, entitled Our Position Hasn't Changed at All, but it is Johnson riding on the Vietnam escalator. Johnson tried to pressure North Vietnam's communist leader Ho Chi Minh to reduce their ability to wage war against the United States by improving Operation Rolling Thunder on February 13, 1965. The operation began on March of 1965 and lasted until October of 1968. 643,000 tons of bombs were dropped combined by both sides of the war. Nearly 900 U.S. aircrafts were lost. The United States cost of raids totaled an estimated $900 million. This attack demonstrated America's advancement and supremacy of its Air Force, highlighting Johnson's term during the Cold War. After Operation Rolling Thunder, Johnson's main interest was to increase involvement in Vietnam to finish the war. On April 7, 1965, President Johnson spoke at Johns Hopkins University to explain to the American people why the United States should engage in war in Southeast Asia. The United States would not negotiate with Viet Cong and were fully committed to keeping a non-communist, independent South Vietnam. This was once again a sign of him conforming to the previous Cold War foreign policy. In this political cartoon is the United States caught in a whirlpool that is getting them deeper involved in Asia. On January 10, 1968, North Vietnam launched a surprise attack to overthrow the South Vietnamese government called the Tet Offensive. The North Vietnamese hoped to reduce American influence in South Vietnamese defense. This was the turning point of the Vietnam War and the beginning of the American withdrawal from the region. This was seen as a lowlight for Johnson's career involving the Cold War. Johnson's last foreign policy decision involving the Vietnam War was made on March 31, 1968. He announced the bombing halt on North Vietnam. The purpose of this was to limit the nation's war in hopes of ending it. During his address, Johnson also revealed to America that he would not be seeking another term as president. President Johnson was influenced to conform to Truman and Eisenhower's Cold War foreign policy. He continued their legacy of containing communism by fighting against it in the Vietnam War. Johnson left America's foreign policy decisions in the hands of the nation's next president, Richard Nixon, in 1969.